Good evening and welcome to 40 Days Ministries session 122, December 15, 2023. We presented this on that date. Today is August 25th, 2025. We're doing a review session and recording the review session for our number 122 documented session. I apologize. Now, that week, apparently, I didn't do very much because a lot of the time was given to Ministry of Legal Affairs as we were fighting up with their online system to get the return in. That's a legal thing that we do every year. That's actually coming up. Today, we start with our focus on the vision of the statue made of different materials, right? As we know, this is in Daniel, all right? We actually did a series on that this year. Now, rereading the prophecy and the dream, we can see that verse 38 said that the gold head and shoulders were Nebuchadnezzar's own Babylonian kingdom. The kingdom that rose after Babylon was the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians. We see evidence of that in Daniel 5, 26 to 31. This is the interpretation of the matter. Mene, God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Perez, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then Belshazzar gave the command, and Daniel was clothed with purple. A chain of gold was put around his neck, and a proclamation was made about him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. That very night, Belshazzar, the Chaldean king, was killed, and Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Belshazzar was Nebs' own son, and he lost the kingdom at a party where he desecrated temple utensils. All right, so Belshazzar was the Babylonian king at that time. This passage was to prove, following Babylon, the Medes and the Persians came in. In Daniel 10, 20 to 21, there's an angelic messenger speaking to Daniel. Then he said, "Do you know why I've come to you? But now I will return to fight against the prince of Persia. And when I go out, behold, the prince of Greece will come. But I will tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. There is none who contends by my side against these except Michael, your prince." This messenger said the prince of Persia contended against him earlier in the chapter to delay his message 21 days. Michael helped him out to get the message to Daniel. Here he is saying he'll return to fight the prince of Persia, sorry, and then the prince of Greece would come. It seems as if there are demonic agents that promote empires and kings. This shows the Greeks taking the Persian Empire as Alexander did, right? Because the prince of Greece would come after the prince of Persia, because Daniel was in a land run by Medes and the Persians. The Persians took over more of the authority after some time, right? It seems as if there are demonic agents that promote empires and kings, right? This shows the Greeks taking the Persian Empire as Alexander did. The Hellenization took place after that. Hellenization, if you see Hellenized or Hellenization or any reference to that word Hellen, in this case with two L's, it means that Greek culture and language were taken to people or influenced the people. It means that there was a strong Greek influence in the way people lived, culture, right? The way people live. This was by God's design so that the Bible's New Testament would be written in Greek. And the apostles would share it to churches in the Roman Empire. And if the Roman Empire, everybody in that empire would understand the Greek, any letters written by the apostles, any words written by the apostles in Greek would be understood throughout the country, well, the empire. Welcome, Joshua Cooper, who just came in. We're doing a recording for Antichrist number 7. Most business and trading was done in Greek, so everybody would speak Greek. The gift of tongues came as confirmation to Jews and non-Christians that the word of God was true. Those people didn't have the Bible to refer to for instruction and backup. Alexander's kingdom, as we've seen and shared before, was the male goat. The male goat that had one prominent horn that was broken because Alexander died at 32, very young, and 4 smaller horns sprung up in its place. Alexander's kingdom was shared up by 4 generals. This shows the connection between the ram and goat prophecy and the statue dream. So, folks, it is not guesswork where we add pieces. When I say add here, I don't mean add to the Bible, where we connect one prophecy with another with another. We don't just randomly connect prophecies. Of course, if the prophecies are speaking about the same subject matter, we do connect them to help understand them with more detail. Okay, so while I can say here without checking on further, I can say that Nebuchadnezzar had that dream of the gold, silver, bronze, iron, and iron mixed with clay statue. Right? We connect that with the beast that Daniel saw that was terrifying. The 4 beasts, the 4th one was terrifying to him. And we connected that, previous to this, we connected that to the sea beast in Revelation. It's not us randomly connecting stuff. We have been proving time and again through similarities that they are the same prophecies throughout. And it's all end time stuff. It's all end time stuff. So people who like to go to the New Testament and say, well, I'm a New Testament guy because we're living in the New Testament time. No, pal. The Old Testament has a bunch of stuff there that we need to know. It's not there for the fun of it. In fact, we all should know the Old Testament is like 2/3 of the Bible. Right? Check this out. Israel gained independence from 167 to 63 BC. Remember, BC goes, it counts down. So from 167 to 63 BC, Israel had independence from the Greeks, from being ruled by the Greeks, basically, until the Romans came. The iron legs of the statue that Nebuchadnezzar dreamt was the powerful and destructive Roman Empire. Our recent study on that agrees with this. And we have proof and stuff. That empire ended at different times. It split. Welcome to Avinda and Vishala. We're doing a recording of a review of Antichrist number 7. The Roman Empire split in 286 AD into an East and a Western Empire. The West was sacked by the Vandals in 455 and ended in 476. The East, however, stayed much longer. It became the Byzantine Empire and was around much longer until the Turks took the capital of Constantinople in 1453. Look how long that piece of Rome lasted. In 63 BC, right? Remember we said 63 BC they had independence. Up till then, in 63 BC, Rome took Israel. Now this ties in with stuff today, by the way, because there are a bunch of clowns saying Israel didn't have no country until 1948. Israel was in that land before Rome came. Israel was in that land before the Greeks came, before the Persians came, before Babylon came. So all these people who claim, Israel have no place, no purpose, no claim, they will come and say, where was Israel before 1948? Where was anybody before 200 BC, before 300 BC, before 1000 BC, Israel was there. Okay? In the years 132 to 135, that is AD, Roman forces killed over 500,000 Jews after they tried to revolt. In 136 AD, Roman Emperor Hadrian renames Jerusalem that's Aelia Capitolina, and he builds a pagan temple over the site of the second temple in Jerusalem. He also forbids Jews from dwelling there. Judea, the southern portion of what we call the West Bank, was renamed Palestina in an attempt to minimize Jewish identification with the land of Israel. This affects us today because the area isn't called Israel in the media, it's called Palestine. Roman rule ended in 324 AD. Here I'm showing you that historically the devil has been trying, right? This here is, I learned the word for this, homiletics, taking what we study and applying it to modern life. Looking at the history here, we take it as evidence that the devil has been trying to influence men to wipe Israel out ever since before, when Assyria exiled them, when the Romans tried to abuse them, when Hitler tried to eliminate them. Now, not just Hamas, it's not Hamas. It's, you know who I'm calling here to blame for this? Persia, Iran. Iran wants to wipe them out. Persia is still there. Remember, the Medes and the Persians, they are like the ram. They are not like the ram, they were the ram. And then Alexander the Great, the Greeks came and stomped them down as the male goat. Persia is still trying. The Prince of Persia apparently is still a thing, trying to stamp out Israel. Iran devotes a lot of resources to wiping out Israel. The clay/iron kingdom, represented by the feet, the mixed materials which do not actually mix, that indicates it may be Roman in heritage, or the kingdom may be similar to the Romans in the way that it's organized. The horn of the goat that grew the little horn indicates the Antichrist may have Greek heritage. Because remember that goat with the single horn that was broken into four horns, out of that grew one little horn, was the former Greek Empire, right? It may indicate that the Antichrist would have Greek heritage, or just like Antiochus, he will inherit power from some fatherly ruler of his. I am not making statements of facts here, but drawing conclusions that seem to be sensible based on historical evidence measured against biblical prophecy. This here was a session where we looked at the history of conquerors of Israel, some conquerors of Israel. Obviously, this week I said I didn't have much prepared. We're looking at Cooper's Corner number 101. God is always close at heart, for we live in him, and he in us, and has given of his spirit, so we could continue to live. This here is a table on screen where we connect what we observe in real life, the ram and the goat prophecy, and the statue dream. The Babylonian kingdom was the golden head in the statue dream. In real life, there was a Median and Persian army, uh, a combination of both nations, where just as in prophecy, where the latter horn grew up to be stronger than the first horn, Persians dominated. Belshazzar loses his kingdom to Darius. Belshazzar was a Babylonian king, lost his kingdom to Darius, a Persian, a Median and Persian king. Um, this was prophesied in the ram and goat prophecy as a ram with two uneven horns, running about doing what he wants. That's the Medes and Persians. In the dream prophecy that Nebuchadnezzar had, this kingdom was the silver chest and arms. Alexander, we're told, was the single horn. His kingdom conquered most of the known world in a short time. Alexander died suddenly, and his kingdom was divided among 4 generals. The ram was trampled by a male goat that came from the west without touching the ground. That male goat was unstoppable, and he trampled the ram. This goat was described as having a single prominent horn that broke, and 4 other horns sprouted in his place. Alexander and the Greeks were represented by the bronze torso and thighs in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Antiochus came from the Seleucids. The Seleucids were one of the 4 kingdoms that the generals had. Antiochus was a cheap taste or cheap preview of the Antichrist terror to come. As bad as Antiochus was, and y'all, Antiochus was disgusting. We see him mentioned in the ram and the goat, where the little horn, there was a little horn that grew up out of the 4. The Roman army was terrible and fearsome after the Greeks. The Roman army was represented as the iron legs of the statue that Nebuchadnezzar dreamt. The kingdom that will be the Antichrists in the Great Tribulation will be strong in some ways and weak in others, because it would be mixed of iron and clay. The iron feet and the clay, 10 toes on each feet, 10 toes on the 2 feet, indicates or balances or connects with the 10 horns of the sea beast. This table gives fair comparison of the prophecies in Daniel that we looked at, and it sets the stage for the coming of the Antichrist for us. I'm stopping right here with our recap. So session 122 that was documented, we just ran through that, and Antichrist session number 7, if I'm correct. Yes, Antichrist session number 7. For everyone who has watched through this entire video, we'd like to thank you very much for participating and for sharing. For those live, sitting at home, those who are live and paying attention through it, thank you very much. We'll see more. We just have a couple more sessions in 2023 to record, and we'll continue with Antichrist number 8, I assume, in 2025's recaps. Okay, so thanks very much to everybody who has been paying attention, who's been running through these videos with us. God willing, we'll get to the next in the Antichrist series in time. Thank you and goodbye.